time to abandon ship.
It's not saying a lot, but it is the best of the three.
Maybe it's because this is CineCringe and I'm not used to having good experiences. But anyway, I quite enjoyed watching Revenge of the Sith.
Welcome, my name is George, with me is Chris, and today we are looking at episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, War.
That's where Star Wars is supposed to be, I'm pretty sure.
Not taxes, not treaties, not sand, but war. Because it's in the fucking title. Has Hayden Christensen's acting got better since episode 2?
I don't know. I think he might be worse in this movie than he is in Clones, to be honest.
Well, in the climax of this movie, he gets to have some big emotional outbursts, these scenes, right? And I feel like that can often help disguise lack of quality acting. Yeah, you can always just cry, yell, and be angry. That's actually not that difficult to do.
Yeah.
Compared to, more subtle, Count Dooku kind of acting. And then there's the most wasted of all wasted potential with Natalie Portman.
She got a raw deal in this.
She
movie.
was.
I mean, I know
so wasted.
She gets a raw deal in the Star Wars saga. Padme's life is not good. But she does nothing in the worst haircuts yet.
Let's talk about one of the best parts of the movie. Yeah?
Yes.
Grievous.
It felt like it finally just found the campy, fun tone that was all I wanted in the first place. I did feel, for better and worse, that Lucas finally, after 6 movies, realized his complete vision. I just feel that this is like what Lucas's vision of what movies could be like is. It's a complete CG fest. You're just staring at a bunch of CG, and that's kind of what we often say about movies now. I think this is better than a lot of them. I think there's a real sense of space and a sense of depth, a very careful use of framing and choreography. One of the things that's really weird about CG sequences is that you watch these long unbroken shots and they feel like things that could never exist in physical cinematography because they aren't.
Yeah.
This also has a long unbroken shot where we follow these 2 ships zooming around everything, but Lucas has taken pains to kind of like move in close to them and then move back out and then come around in a way that, even though it's still in one shot, kind of simulates the experience of watching cuts in a sequence. Yeah. And there's a level of care in this sequence, even the sequence that's all CG, that I just don't see in the big giant CG battles now. The CG might look even better now, but I don't think the overall effect of giant space battles or giant superhero battles or whatever now are as satisfying as this sequence. I think it is, for me, a certain kind of pinnacle.
Yeah, and what you said earlier about like the sequence being what Lucas really wanted to do. I think this and like Battle of the Fates are like the 2 scenes that he had in his mind that he just wanted to shoot. And then he built a story around it.
Yeah, right.
And started a company around it to make it happen.
It's a very interesting experience having watched these 3 now. It almost feels like a video game experience of like watching the devs learn and change stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Where over these 3 movies, you see Lucas progress so much.
It's only because I'm so in love.
No. No, it's because I'm so in love with you.
The worst scene of the whole movie, I think, for me at least. The conversation of, I love you more. No, I love you more. No, you make me happy. It's very nauseating, this scene.
It's not her fault at all, but that 2003 makeup and hairstyle is not good on Padme.
No, she looks sunburned.
Yeah, she does, yeah.
Okay, so one of the most famous stories.
Did you ever hear the tragedy of George Lucas, the director?
And they're still trying to play off like, is he good? Is he bad? Why even have a reveal after this? Everyone has no idea. They were all shocked when he's revealed to be a Sith Lord?
Well, look, when you're watching Othello being blinkered, being seduced by Iago and convinced to do something that you know he shouldn't do and believe things that you know he shouldn't believe, the pleasure in it is not that you're with Othello wondering if Iago is good or bad. The pleasure in it is the pleasure of tragedy, is the pleasure of watching someone led down a path that you don't want them to go down, but that you
Sure.
can see why they're going down.
Yeah.
Hello there.
General Kenobi.
Oh yeah, the thing I was waiting for the entire movie.
This thing's fucking great.
This lizard.
That makes bird noises. Which,
And they introduce it in this like massive hero shot.
in episode 1, I complained about the pod race being showy for showy sake, right?
Yeah.
And I think this is the difference between the pod race and this lizard. This lizard blends into this world that it's in, and it tells a bit of a story or world building of the society and this planet that it's on.
It's a
right?
lizard riding planet.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's just a habitat, right?
Yeah.
You get the idea. That's how people on this planet travels. That's it. And it's fun.
I think it's pretty hilarious that what he's chosen to ride on a stealth mission is
Yes, it's the
a
loudest
massive
scream.
parading lizard that screams at regular intervals.
But he had a hood on, though.
Right.
Yeah. It's like playing any RPG. Doesn't matter how big your armor is. If you crouch, no one can see you.
I was thinking about the engineers in the Star Wars universe. They're like, so you're looking for a giant monocycle with legs that uses instead of the wheels? Is that the... Grievous is like, oh, yes.
Maybe he likes wacky races.
So just like Crystal Skull style, they spend a little time like riding next to each other just so they can sword fight. And then what we've learned is that Obi-Wan is super good at winning fights where he doesn't have the high ground.
Yeah, you're right.
He beats Darth Maul from the low ground. He beats Grievous from the low ground.
He's already dead!
I remember the first time watching this. By this point, I was really annoyed at this scene because it is like a full 2 minutes, I think, of Natalie Portman and Hayden Christensen staring at a CG city with no line, no acting. They just stare at the horizon, back and forth for a really long time.
So I know that it's not really like he's trying to figure it out at this point, but it just bugs me that I guess everyone has this issue. The one thing about whether Palpatine is like good or evil, and he's like playing it up, and he's like, "Help me, Anakin! He's going to kill me!" and he looks like this helpless old man. I was like, okay, he looks like this helpless old man, but what about the part right after that when he's like, "No, you have lost." It's like, did that not seem slightly evil to you?
Okay, so this is the other part that that bugged me on first and second watching, is how quickly Anakin switched from basically telling on him to, no, let me just kill this guy for you.
I will say I never got until this watch through. I think it's kind of neat. He's named Darth Vader Dark Father because it's like fatherhood and the bonds of fatherhood that drove him to the dark side. I think that's kind of cool. I also think it's really funny that you get like a gang name when you join the Sith. So they all get Order 66. They really shouldn't have established that they can force dash like at light speed in the first one when they get away from the destroyer droids, because really for every one of them I was like, hey, maybe you should just do that one thing you do. But anyway,
Yeah.
that's the story of the Jedi throughout the prequels, though. Like, hey, what about the Force? What if you use the Force?
Maybe they have classes, you know. The two that got killed were like Jedi healers. I would have liked it more if they just like had Palpatine gather them all in a room and just slaughters them, you know?
Yeah.
Like Anakin slaughters the kids and Palpatine slaughters the masters.
Just like bomb the council.
Yeah.
I just love the kid they chose. It's like the most perfect little blonde-haired, blue-eyed Aryan child.
I mean, this kid did great, the little stumbleback.
Yeah.
It's a lovely little piece of like, you know, acting. Did this make you sad though, this scene?
No, I think it's so comically gruesome from a narrative perspective that it kind of shuts me down.
Yeah, I'm gonna call out a lot of other channels who watched this movie and like cried at this moment.
Right.
Look, children dying is horrible. It is tear worthy, but the way that it's shown in this movie, in this context, is like it's so over the top villain.
If they really cared, they would have set up the younglings more before. But it's not
exactly.
supposed to be like a thing about characters that you know and like getting killed. It's
Yeah,
supposed to be about transgression.
Exactly. There's no moment that's like, oh, make you attached to one of them. Yeah, he could have walked into a kennel like Terminator
Yeah, right.
and killed the dog. It's the same idea.
And after the younglings, you must slaughter the Jedi puppies.
A security hologram of him killing younglings.
Oh dear.
The Force door closed, man. Like, you pressed a button to open it. Just fucking press it again.
That's how he does up his fly.
But only up, though, not down.
Not down. Yeah, right. This is, if you're ever entering the showdown of your entire life, make sure to do it with this pose. This is how to arrive at a job interview. When they call you in, this is how you should be at the door.
Where you're on a flight and you're waiting for the bathroom to free up.
When they start playing Here Comes the Bride and everyone turns to see you at the back of the aisle, this is the pose you should be in.
Between the two fights, which one do you like more?
Oh, I'm the lightsaber duel is my heart of hearts. I love it because I Obi-Wan's the person who I care about the most at this point in the movie, and that's that. But they're both cool fights, actually. You know, we talked about how Phantom Menace is such a letdown because you can't enjoy the good sequence because of all the bad sequences. But these both work for me.
Personally, I like Yoda versus Palpatine a little bit more, but I think it's just because I like watching top level characters fight.
Yes, fair.
Right? Whereas this one is
it's a sword fight.
Yeah, it's a sword
not
fight
much
and
to
it goes on for quite a while.
I have to say, as far as the Yoda Palpatine fight, I think it's a masterful image with this chancellor who has destroyed the democracy from within is now literally picking up pieces of the Senate and hurling them around like junk.
This being just one big CGI fight, but I think because Lucas has gotten so much better at it with camera motion,
Yeah.
it just feels a bit more exciting to me. All right, high ground.
Yeah, I don't know what to say that hasn't already been said.
I mean,
It's not even that high a ground. Anyway, Anakin burns. I think this would have been rated R if it wasn't a Star Wars movie.
it's pretty gruesome, yes. And it is what should have happened to Sam and Frodo at the end.
I thought the tragedy was well composed. I saw all the ways he could have turned back, and I saw why he didn't, and I found it believable. And that's something that the other two movies don't even come close to achieving. But I'll also say it's something that, other than Empire, the old ones don't come close to achieving either. The only emotionally complex and interesting stuff is in Empire, as far as I'm concerned. The way Luke can't stop himself from going to confront first Vader in the cave and seeing his own face, and then Vader literally on Bespin, even though he's not ready. And I think it's good and interesting and cool and well done. But I do think the tragedy of Darth Vader, the not so wise, does have to stand out in the Star Wars franchise as like one of the few things that actually has effective emotional content in it.
Yeah. Yoda's best option is to go into hiding. Is that the best option he could have done? I mean, it has to be I'm getting too old for this shit kind of thing.
It really feels like he just doesn't care too much.
Yeah. He just surrenders.
Fair enough, he is old. Maybe he never liked the Jedi anyway.
He just wanted to sit in that room and smoke a bong. This has got to be one of my favorite scenes, though, of all the Star Wars movie. The mask going on and then all silence and you just hear the breathing. The pause was just right for how long the silence is, and then it's perfect. See, like all these scenes after, I don't think we needed any of it. I would have actually have Palpatine looking at the Death Star being built.
Yeah.
And somehow have the mask going on Vader as the final moment.
I see what you're saying with the Vader thing, because that's what the trilogy is.
Yeah.
It's getting to that moment.
Yeah, because like we know this is going to happen already. We don't need to do this.
And this is, again, going back to seeing it in theater originally, but this gave me chills to see this in theater.
Really? Okay.
Movies weren't like this at this time. Movies didn't like interlink this much and like have Samuel L. Jackson show up in the end credits to join the Jedi Initiative or whatever.
Yeah,
also, in the future, George Lucas is going to go back and use baby pictures of Mark Hamill to replace this baby with a CG Hamill baby.
Oh, God.
These movies have so much heart and personality in them. The personality is abrasive and the heart is strange, but they're there. And I just feel like these are somewhat special because they have the budget they have, because they had the cultural position they have, and because they're so clearly the work of one mad scientist. And,
yes.
And the blockbusters of today don't get a chance to feel like that anymore, except your rare, Christopher Nolan's and whatever. I just appreciate that these were able to be made, that we were just able to see like an artistic vision, even if it wasn't very artistic and even if it was weird. It was someone who had this thing in their heart that they wanted to put out into the world, and they put it out in the form that they wanted it to take.
Yes, I agree with you. I'm glad that the prequels exist as a whole in general. I'm glad because it, you can feel the craftsmanship and the passion project in it, but it is dirtied by a very clear motivation or even if it's secondary motivation of merchandising.
Do you have a plan B?
Okay, so here's how I revenge Padme. Revenge of the Padme. For this movie. So I mentioned earlier how I'm going to tie this to Leonidas and Gorgo, his wife, is that's how I would position Padme, similar to Lena Headey's character in 300. Have her be her arena, her fight is back at home. She's already a senator, right? Have her be the one to figure out Palpatine is a Sith, is a bad guy, and that no one else listens to her. And then have Anakin be always on the battlefield like Leonidas is, right? Except for him seeing, all the destruction and death, and then knowing that his wife may be, have her battlefield be at the Senate. Yeah. And that way, when they finally meet at the end, she has something to persuade him away from Palpatine rather than just crying, because she's seen it herself. Okay, I guess that's it then. Anything else? Last words?
Last words. Momentous times. It was better than Mac and me.
That's good. All right, that's it. Like and subscribe, and yeah, we're done.
We're done.